How's it going out there tonight?
Whoa. You stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight? Hope everyone is doing well. Those of you that are going to catch it live tonight with us, and those of you that will watch it later, we sure do appreciate your support. Our good friend Walls will be joining us very shortly. He got held up in some traffic. I guess he's driving. His wife just shot me a text, said that he wanted to let me know and let all you guys know that he would be here to just hang out for a minute, and we'll get the show started. And as soon as he gets here, we'll bring him on. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming in, hanging out with us tonight. I sure really do appreciate it, guys. I guess as you noticed, I'm kind of in my new area here. Got moved. Jordan and I got a new place, so got settled in here, and that's where I'll be doing the show at from here on out. See who all we got with us so far tonight. I got Parkway, Sharon Guy, Michael Hexham's here, Thomas Cardos. What's up, buddy? Thomas is actually going to be on our show next week. Looks like we might have Walls. I think he just popped on. Where you at, buddy?
I'm here. I'm gonna try to get this camera on.
Oh, bless your little heart. You know we got to see you.
I'm
you
here.
Need me to come help you, buddy?
No, I see your new studio there.
Yeah.
It caused two episodes to be disappeared.
All right, well, just see if you can figure it out. Well,
I'm trying to figure it out. It could be my computer. I know what I'm streaming on.
Guys, if y'all haven't done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We sure would appreciate it. Almost at 1,200 subs now. So, got a long way to go, but we're getting there. Slowly and surely. We will get there with your guys' help. We sure do appreciate it, guys. And if you have subscribed and you like what you see so far, have seen so far, tell your friends, tell your family. Just show us some support, guys. We really appreciate it. Also, head over to mannimalresearch.com, our website. Get some information about our group over there. Maybe getting out in the woods, doing your own research. Maybe becoming a member of Mannimal. Do research under our name. We'd love to talk to you about that. We've got 3 or 4 states now where we've got investigators. So yeah, we'd love to talk to you about that. You can also report your encounters. You can get a hold of Walls or myself. And so guys, just check out the website there. We would appreciate it. Also, we are on Facebook, Mannimal Research on Facebook. So, guys, if you don't mind, head over there and check us out. Tonight we have not only a researcher that is returning to the show for his second visit, but he's also a friend of ours. We've been out in the woods with him. He is the one that actually put us in contact with Miss Janice Carter. We got William on tonight, William Henry. You guys might know him as Ninja Dave. That's what I call him when we hang out, Ninja Dave. I don't even call him William. But we got William on tonight, and William actually introduced me to some. Who is that? Come on out now. Where you is, buddy? Anyway, William is actually the one that introduced me to something that we're going to be talking about tonight, which one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight, which are what I don't know if he coined this phrase, this title or what, but it's something called ground sticks. And I don't know if he came up with that name or if that's a known thing, but ever since he brought it up to me, man, come on. Ever since William brought it up to me, that's I've been noticing a lot more of them in areas where we have activity. Anyway, I don't know. Obviously, his video is working, but he wants to play. There he is. He's slow in the head. He's really not all there, and I'm sorry.
It wasn't hooked up. Huh?
You're an embarrassment, man.
Man, it wasn't hooking up.
I'm
trying to get a new camera going. Took up the computer instead of doing the thing on there.
Whatever. We got
hey, we had to come out with a big bang.
I might like this a little better. What y'all think?
Y'all just go ahead and log off.
Man, put the food up.
It's gonna be the best show or not. We back, guys. We back.
We got the Squatching Cowboy joining us live. Detroit Daniel, what's up, fellas? Logbeard, Miss Chelsea Stewart is in the house. Jean's Pretty Pups. Not familiar with. Has Jean's Pretty Pups been around? Have you noticed her? Okay, well, say hello to her.
Hello.
I'm assuming it's a her, the way Jean is spelled. Marla Adams Green, hello, ma'am. Glad all you guys could come over and hang out with us tonight. We sure do appreciate it. All right, can you hear my dog barking? I hear you crunching on that stinking cone, but can you hear my dog barking? Okay, he's upstairs.
The big boy?
Y'all could hear him or not.
You talking about the big boy?
Pretty Pup says, yep, been here, so I appreciate it, Gene. Thank you very much. Facebook user, Michael Waldy. How you doing, buddy? Kelsey Canby is actually a member of our group. What's up, Kelsey? How's it going, ma'am? Hope everything's going well. Tell Greg we say hello. I don't know if Greg's here.
Did you was you able to upload some of them pictures? Are we talk about them with William? I sent them to William. I don't know if he was able to look at them.
What pictures are you talking about? I've uploaded some pictures that he sent to me.
I'm talking about the ones that I sent you.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
A possible guest down in the area south of us.
Oh, the lady in Alabama?
Yeah.
No, I didn't bring up any of those pictures. We figure we'll talk more about them before. We do need to get her on, though. Have you talked to her about that?
Yes. Which Sunday would have been bad, but she said possibly maybe Thursday. She ain't confirmed yet. So I'm hoping she's watching tonight. So maybe she is watching tonight. I'm not sure. We
got a guest nut lined up for next week. Like I was saying earlier, we got Thomas Cardos. Buddy, if I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. But Thomas is one of the guys from Cryptid and Paranormal Junkies on Facebook. A couple of really cool guys. They're going to come hang out with us next Thursday, and then I think we're going to hang out with them and do one of their live shows in the future. So that's going to be fun. Look for that next week, guys. It will be a good time. All right. Sorry, guys. Something caught my attention there. All right. So what's been going on with you, buddy? You had a chance to get out in the woods or anything?
I I haven't been really out at all, but I have, like I said, I've actually been in contact with that lady quite a bit while I've been getting unloaded and loaded. And
Now tell me again how you met her. How did all
that
that
is
come about?
from Illinois, Bigfoot, Illinois Sasquatch.
Dawn.
I believe, yeah.
Dawn.
He
Yeah.
sent her my info, and she messaged me, and then which we also got the one that's in Trine, which was one of Greg's good, I think, people that Greg found, and but we had permission down there to come down there and Trine, but the Alabama one, that one's still kind of fishy because she don't want everything out. Let's put it that way. She don't want a lot of people at her area. Now, and I can understand that. She don't want a lot of things going on because things.
Well, you know, we would protect her identity, and we wouldn't let anybody know her address or anything like that.
She understands that. She's cool with that, but she's worried about that. I'm getting the opinion that she's dealing with all three things: either Dogman, Bigfoot, and paranormal, all at the same time. And because she is close to Indian burial areas, and it's out there. She said it's out there. And
I remember now. I remember what you're talking about. You sent me a couple of audio clippings. One of them sounded a lot like that laugh that I heard down in Cartersville. You know, I couldn't hear it at first, but then I finally heard it. Yeah. But yeah, man, a lot of times it's about you got to develop that relationship with them first, man. You got to earn that trust. And if it just needs to be me and you coming down before we bring the whole team, we can do that.
It's not she wants to come. Like I said, I want her to join us, and she's down with that. She's worried that we'll reamp everything up. Like everything's still, she gets her noises, she gets footprints and everything else, but she's worried that when she first got it, it was like it was trying to get her out of there. Now it's more of, well, she's here to stay. We're used to you. And she's worried that it's going to amp up, and that's understandable anywhere. I mean, if they're dealing with that kind of type, it may be one of those things where she can do the maybe if I can get her to come on and be a part of the member, maybe she can use it to be part of the group, and she can just send us stuff, and we can keep her on the show and put her on the show. Like I said, Thursday, she don't know for sure, but she said that might work. She's supposed to get back with me, so.
Okay, yeah, like I said, we can bring her on, and she can cut her camera off, and you can just do an audio thing. If she don't want her identity out there, we can take care of her. But you know, like I was saying, it's just about developing that trust, that relationship with her. We'll do it. We'll get there. All right. So you are very familiar with our guest tonight. Excited to have William back tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I like him. It's kind of weird you had him on because we was just talking about this because I sent him the pictures too. But some reason his messenger wasn't showing them for some reason.
And also, old Bear called me. I think it was Friday. You know, Old Bear's doing a Bigfoot. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, or also subscribe to his channel. He called me and I couldn't get to his phone call, and I feel bad I haven't called him back. But he called asking when we wanted to schedule another get together, and him and his wife head back down from West Virginia. Old Bear was a part of that trip that we went out with William, the Ninja Dave, and with Janice Carter and Janice's daughter. Where all that weird stuff happened. And we've talked to Old Bear about it on the show. We've talked to Janice, and we've talked to Holly about it on the show. The only person that was there that we haven't talked about that night, now the happenings that night, are William. So it's another reason I'm excited to have him here tonight, because he's going to be like the fourth or the fifth person to give his insight on what happened to us all that night. You know, because people remember things differently. He could bring up something that you and I completely forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, I got to call old Bear back. He called wanting to know when we were gonna get back together, and he said he's gonna see if Squatch and Cowboy could make it to this one. That would be awesome because Squatch and Cowboy, he'd be coming from Texas, so we'd be in Tennessee. We'd have somebody coming from Texas, somebody coming from West Virginia, and maybe get a couple of our other members in our other states to come down too and put us a good show on. Maybe find an area where we got some service and do a couple lives. That'd be cool.
Well, there's only one. I think there's only one session. I think there's only one area that could probably happen. Which is where you talking about where you got that laugh, and then there's also my encounter where I had back in the day that nobody's ever went back and actually done anything there.
Yeah, we gotta get back up there, and I'll just go ahead and say it, man. And this is what I'm gonna tell old Bear when I talk to him. My daughter is due. Jordan will be 33 weeks in a couple of days, and 40 weeks is max. That's it. 38, you're full term. So she's getting on up there, and I'm getting to a point where I can't go out in the woods and be away from her, especially where there's no service. And then when little Miss Scarlett gets here, I'm not going to go out, do anything for a little while.
Yeah.
Everybody understands that, I'm sure. So it'd be a summertime thing, maybe even going into the fall.
Yeah.
Probably going into the fall, I think. I think it'd be good. Anyway, William told me right before we came on he's had a few sightings in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
He's been really, really active. So we've done enough talking. If you're ready, we'll just go ahead and bring him on. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get on Ninja Dave in here.
All right.
Ninja
Hi,
Dave,
guys.
what's up, buddy?
What do you say, brothers? How you doing? Happy to be here.
Doing
Yeah,
well.
I've had a couple of sightings 2 weeks ago that were totally random, totally spontaneous, just the eye shine from the side of the road. I'm always looking, everywhere I go for structures and structure signs. Even in the dark at night, I'll be driving down the road and I don't know, I'll just happen to glance over and catch this amazing eye shine blinking at me, and it dimmed and brightened and started off white light, and then it went to yellowy color and then bright orange, like it got like really excited, really big eye shine. And then I went back like a night after that, just like the next night after that, seeing signs and stuff, just unusual markings that they'll mark their trails and pass with. Found a ground stick, believe it or not, in an area that had been mowed recently. So, the idea that these signs are just deadfall or somehow, wind damage or blowdowns or tornadoes even, I totally understand that it's a natural sign that's occurring in the woods. But I also see other evidence that suggests that it's Bigfoot. And I can give you some quick examples of ground stick signs. Typically, they're not rooted. It's just a stick that's shoved in the ground, usually 3 or 4 inches, sometimes deeper, sometimes a foot, sometimes even deeper than that.
Let me interrupt you for just a second, William.
Yeah.
I've got some pictures here that you've sent, and I'm going to pull them up to show what we're talking about. But this is what I was curious about.
Yeah.
Or is ground sticks, is that a phrase or a term that you coined? Or
no, it was a researcher in England, believe it or not, named Michael Appleby, came up with the term ground sticks. And I thought it was such an Apple name that I would pick up and use it. A lot of times I'll put it in quotation marks, even when I share it with people, and give him credit.
No.
Of course, he's not concerned about being given credit for it, but I like to give other people credit due. Like Doug Banks. Doug Banks had ground sticks at his house probably 5 years before I saw my first ground stick sign. And at the time when he tried to share it with people, like my first sighting of a ground stick happened in 2017. So you're talking about 5 years before that. You're talking about back in 2012. He's finding these signs where he's got Bigfoot living in his backyard, you know, in
Wow.
Georgia.
Now,
And so, yeah, that's an amazing ground stick
I
sign there.
want to
Yeah.
give kind of like the definition of what a ground stick is. It's
Right.
a stick like you
Typically, it's
see
not rooted.
William.
Right.
Yeah, William's holding right
Yeah.
there, and something or someone has just jabbed this stick into the ground.
Right.
And you'll look at this picture, you can see you got about 4 or 5 inches there of mud.
Right.
But that thing has been shoved into the ground 4 or 5 inches. Now, they don't fall out of a tree and go into the ground 4 or 5 inches. Something has stuck that in the ground.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've seen deadfall that will impale itself into the ground, and you start to see noticeable differences between these ground stick signs. A lot of times they'll be stripped of bark or partially stripped of bark. I found them where there'll be a deadfall limb laying on the ground, and the middle section of the limb has been broken, and that section of that limb is now shoved in the ground, where both ends are stripped of bark. Both the end that's shoved in the ground in, and then the end that's sticking up is shaved with bark. And what Michael Appleby suggested is that he had found that they were using it as a nighttime navigation aid to see or find their sense of direction through the woods, like a track line or a trail marker. And then other people have discovered that back in like the 1900s, 1920s, hobos used to make this sign to mark their path. So it has a little bit of a history and a use now. The fact that Bigfoot would use this sign is really interesting, because I've actually looked at it as a language, that they're actually using it to pass on communication and information to other Bigfoot that could be passing by, to mark their locations, mark the numbers in a family group. I've seen individual sticks, just like a stick family, that has different corresponding heights to the sticks sticking up, and they'd be in like a cluster. Like there'd be a real tall stick, then a slightly shorter stick, and then 2 small ones representing 2 young children even. And then you'll usually have like a pointing type ground stick that'll share the direction of travel, which way to go, and you'll access it or orientate off of it. And so many yards, you'll find another one in that line. And if you continue on in that direction, you'll find others as well. And so I don't see it as being some random act of nature, because nature's chaotic. Nature's ruled by chaos. Nature doesn't build up, it tears down. So I see this as some type of a natural structure sign that they're using as a form of language and communication. It's always significant, and it always has a meaning to it, and it always signifies something of importance to them.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you opened my eyes to this. Yeah. It was actually just a couple of days before I met you that Walls and I were out at one of our hotspots, and I see this stick that just didn't. It looked like it just shouldn't be where it was at, and I grabbed on it and pulled, and it came out of the ground, and I'm like, man, what is this? Now, granted, none of us, and I'm assuming you either, because I certainly haven't. I've never witnessed a Bigfoot doing this. I've never seen one shoving a stick into the ground. So it could be a person doing this. But the thing is, the places that we go, the places that we've been, people aren't going on a regular basis.
All right.
And
Ginger, Ginger Lockwood and I, when we first met, we met at the Bigfoot Museum down in LJ, Georgia, Expedition Bigfoot. And we decided just randomly that we would pick a park area somewhere close by to the museum and go look for Bigfoot. And we went to one, and we got out, and we just didn't really have a good feeling. So then we just randomly went to another park. Neither of us had ever been there. We started down the trail and quickly got off trail, and she found the first ground stick sign. And from there on, it was like a foot race up this mountainside to see who could count the most ground sticks that we could find. And just like with Michael Appleby, he calls it the champion ground stick sign, where he finds the ground stick that's like 12 feet tall or something sticking up out of the ground. just really incredible signs. And I've found a couple of those myself, just like he has in England. And me and Ginger would play along with this little game, just like Michael Appleby plays with himself, where he would find a ground stick and be like, cha-ching, like he hit the jackpot, and you're following along, and then you come upon other signs like the footprints, and other.
You said somebody found a 12-foot tall stick shoved in the ground?
Yeah, I've got a video on Ninja Dave 1970 on YouTube channel of a 12-foot tall ground stick that was shoved about a foot deep in the ground. What's interesting about it is nearby that location, I found another large ground stick that had actually been moved. It had been relocated. So I found the hole that it was in, and then 3 feet over from it was a new hole where it was actually put in the ground. And what had happened is the old one had become rotten, and they replaced it with another log section. And the old ground stick was laying tossed to the side, where they pulled it up, checked it over the side, and put a new one in beside it. And it's just really a high level of intelligence. I went through racking my brain trying to think, is this the Forest Service doing this? Is it people out geocaching? Is it some kind of a bushcraft or survivalist out here? And in the areas I would go, like in the national parks and stuff, it's illegal to do such things. I mean, you get caught, tampering with the wildlife and the flora and fauna and trees and rocks. You can't even pick up a rock in those places. So, yeah, it's not people that I've found, and in these areas you would have sightings as well to back up the evidence of it being an actual Bigfoot sign. The first time I met Janice Carr was in North Carolina, and I found just driving down the road going back home a ground stick right up at the edge of the woodline. So I stopped on the shoulder lane, got out, walked back in the woods about 20 yards, and had an encounter with a group of Bigfoot that were back in there. I didn't actually see them, but I sensed that they were there, and it was almost like there's nothing to see here. It's almost like a Jedi mind trick where they just, there's nothing to see here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there is. There's a tree break here. There's ground stick here. There's another ground stick. I mean, I got so super excited. And it was a group that I had never interacted with or even was aware of, this group of Bigfoot that was there in North Carolina. And I come up on these piles that they had gathered of elk dung, like big balls of poop. And there was 3 ground sticks, like in a triangle, with this mound of elk dung. And so whether they were using it to like get worms or something out of, I kind of theorized that this is like where they're coming to get food, and they've marked this location where they're storing all this elk poop, and it was real grassy looking poop, so I'm sure the worms would get in there and dig all around, just like in a cow patty. Because when I was a kid, we'd go fishing and we'd go flip cow patties over and get the worms out of it. Well, there's enough protein in a worm that equals the same amount of protein as an egg. So right there is where Sasquatch, are substituting their diet. And with the location of the ground stick where I found that one in the picture, there happen to be all these crawdad holes where they're coming up from being buried through winter. They're coming up, pushing mud up, and every spot where there was mud pushed up, there was a hole there that had been dug out where they were digging, getting those crawdads coming up. And I found the footprints right there. So he literally had marked this location to get the crawdads, crawfish out of the ground. The reason why I say he is because I actually had a sighting of them back in November in this same park area, just in North Knoxville. I got a sighting and a photograph of a Bigfoot there. I think I shared it there. The one that has a real black face. Yeah, he's got a real dark face. When me and Janice went back the following week after that sighting, Janice Carter, and did a follow-up investigation there, we actually had a sighting ourselves of what might have been a baby Bigfoot on all fours. It was black-haired, covered in hair that was only from its butt to the back of its head about 3 feet long, maybe, and all we seen was just from its back and its arms and legs running up this bank, up underneath this overhanging tree limb. And it was such a flash. You know, it was right at dusk where it just starts to transition, get real dark. And we were just meeting to go out to eat. I wanted to take her down there real quick before it got dark and show her this area and see what her thoughts were, if it was actually Bigfoot signs or not. We found some really incredible signs, and she picks up on the subtle signs. I mean, I've learned so much from Janice on noticing the subtleties. It's almost like a covert language where they're able to fly under the radar and hide in plain sight, right underneath people's noses where people would not even think to look for them at. And then last week with this eyeshine sighting, I happened to be going back by that location where I had the eyeshine just days prior, and caught eyeshine again on the side of the road where there happens to be a huge landfill dump between the two locations where I had these two sightings. And then I realized, well, no wonder they smell like rotten garbage. They're coming to this dump to get food, you know, out of the garbage. They're digging through garbage looking for food, and they're smelling like that smell, you know. So it really tied the whole area together with their abilities to circumnavigate through green zones and railways and power lines, how they navigate along the interstate and even use bridges and overpasses to cross the interstate, and even under these drainage tunnels that run under the interstate, you know. So I'm really, you know, excited about the research, and the ground stick sign, probably more than any other sign, has helped me locate Bigfoot and have those type of intimate encounters and sightings with them, and find structures. I mean, I found some of the most elaborately made like teepees and structures in the woods just from following those ground stick signs. You know, usually the further north I go, the bigger the structures I find.
Got a viewer here. I popped it up a minute ago. It said, I found those sticks around structures before, didn't realize it was everywhere. So wow, yeah, I mean, that's just like it's me, man. I had really no idea.
Yeah. You know, I debated within myself whether to come forward and share this. And I thought, well, if you don't share it, somebody else will. You might as well get it out there and at least help people, teach them, share with them what signs to recognize so that they too can have those sightings and have those interactions and try to work towards developing a better relationship and understanding of the Sasquatch. You know, I think getting over the fear of them is an important part of it. And then having that knowledge and faith in Christ for me has helped me, because I want to really share that truth and knowledge with others. And even with the Bigfoot, you know, I've got a real heart for them in wanting to develop a closer understanding and a closer relationship with them. I see them as almost being the prodigal son. You know, they're the ancestral descendants from the bloodline of Esau, I believe, that date back pre-flood all the way to Cain and his descendants from the land of Nod. So yeah, when you start reading about Nephilim and other research, you really start to tie it together, and it comes full circle down through all those generations and bloodlines. It's really, really great research.
It's another reason why you and I get along so well is we do share that love for Jesus Christ, and we do follow him and have given our lives to him. And I don't share it a lot on this show because I don't feel like this is the place to push it on people. But I do talk about it from time to time, and guys, it works.
It's an important part with Bigfoot. I know a lot of researchers, when you have that close contact with the Bigfoot, you're going to cry out to God pretty quick. Like when I had that encounter with Blackie, I was praying to God to hide me from them, like for me to literally turn invisible, And I thought
Yeah.
to myself, you're not the only one, big boy, that can disappear. When I gave him the quick slip up when he wasn't looking, I just had to
Yeah.
remind myself, don't make yourself become prey and run from them. You don't want to trigger, a predatory response from them. But
And
to
we're
see
we're
what
we're gonna
Daryl's
get into
saying.
we're gonna get into Blackie here in just a minute because I do want to talk to you about Blackie. But our buddy
Okay,
here,
yeah,
Daryl
yeah,
Owen, says you
yeah.
also need to keep your eyes on the trees. Now, I wanted to ask you: have you ever come across any in a tree or high up, or do you mainly keep your looking on the ground?
I'm mainly looking on the ground, but I have to keep myself aware of always look up. Um, there was a terror attack in Israel where a Jordanian terrorist flew across in a hand glider across the border, where he didn't leave any tracks for the trackers to come along and find. And he was able to ambush and kill several Israeli soldiers. So they always tell each other about these soldiers that were sacrificed themselves for the protection of the state of Israel, and saying always look up, you know. And so you want to be mindful of that as well. But mostly every one of my sightings has been on the ground, and every one of them have ran from me when I've had that sighting, but the one, and that was with Blackie. He was the only one that actually came up to me, and at the time I wasn't really spiritually ready to try to take on any type of communication with them. I mean, I was terrified of them. I was scared. I mean, I, I only had sensed him even being behind me by watching the other game animals there, these deer that were in front of me. And when I picked up on the deer's ear kept flickering and its head kept turning and looking to the side, I even turned one moment and captured him on camera briefly on video as I was filming these deer, and didn't realize it, didn't know it until he had come on up and around me and all the way around the other side from behind. And that just gave me like the biggest heebie jeebie creeps, that this guy would be stalking me, almost like sneaking up on me to
Yeah,
almost want to have that frightening encounter. Like he wanted to scare the living bejesus out of me. I mean,
that's what
he's a holy terror. Let's put it that
that's
way.
it's
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to get into because we've had Janice on the show a few
Yeah.
times now, had you on once. Janice is not shy
Yeah.
about sharing her opinion on Blackie. She cannot
Yeah.
stand it.
I think they're just like people.
I
There's good
want
people and there's bad people. I mean, there's all kinds
I know
of
you
them.
feel
Yeah.
like you have had run-ins with Blackie.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I want you to explain to us why you think it's Blackie that you're running into and what has happened between you and Blackie.
Uh, I've had several sightings that I was able to connect with that area and location that he's been spotted and seen in before. And when I met Janice, I'd actually made a sketch from one of my videos that I accidentally erased when I took the SIM card out of my tablet. So I don't have that video anymore. I wished I would, so I could have showed it to Nathan Rio when he got really interested in this sketch that I made. And when I showed it to Janice, she was like, "That's Blackie. I would know that face anywhere." I mean, she swore that was Blackie, 100% without a doubt. And so I asked Janice about and told her, the areas and locations where I've had sightings of him before. And she confirmed to me that all those areas are areas that he's known to frequent hang out in. And you're talking about areas across 3 states, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia, even. So, he's got a vast range that he's able to travel. And it wasn't until recently, with the discovery of hobos using these ground stick signs, that I discovered that the Bigfoot also are known to jump trains and ride them just like the hobos. So you can imagine you could go clear from Canada down to Mexico on a train. You know, you probably wouldn't want to be caught out in the desert, and that's probably why you don't see as many Bigfoot in the desert areas. Riding a train. But here in East Tennessee, I mean, there's train tracks everywhere in East Tennessee that they can
Everywhere.
navigate. Even if they're just walking the tracks. In fact, I know of one sighting where the train engineers and conductors got off with the railroad security, which is actually a federal police force. A lot of people don't know that the railroad has their own federalized police, and these guys were armed with rifles. And these kids that were walking the tracks were scared because they thought they were going to get in trouble for being on the tracks when the train stopped. But these guys got off with guns, and the kids actually were escorted around a bend so the train could pass by, because where they were caught at on the tracks, they couldn't get off the tracks really. And this area, they actually saw this Bigfoot jump in front of the train, and they estimated that it was like at least like 12, 13 feet off the ground where the train light was. This thing actually blocked the headlight of the train where it jumped the tracks. And this kid described it as looking like this poster in a doctor's office of the skeletal guy with his arm up over his head, you know, where you see all the red muscles. He said it looked like it'd been in a fire, and this Bigfoot had all the hair burned off of it, and his flesh just looked red, like you could see the muscles. So, I mean,
where was this at?
This was in an area where I've had other sightings of here in North Knoxville. It's actually along the same route that they used to navigate between areas further north of Knoxville and actually all the way into the city of Knoxville itself that I've seen. So back in the 70s, they were really, really close to the inner part of the city, but at the time, the city limits weren't that far out. And there was a lot more rural areas. Now everything's become so populated, we've actually encroached into areas that were once habitated by Sasquatch. In this one area that I go to, I've actually found Sasquatch graves that were probably graves here 2,000 years ago before Europeans ever set foot here. You know, and the Sasquatch still frequent those grave areas, and there's still those same markings with ground sticks there. And so this sign of ground sticks, it really shows a subtlety that they have, but also an importance to it as well as significance to it. So I found several grave locations like that just by following the ground stick signs, several structures. I found butt prints in the ground following the ground stick signs. I've got two just a couple of weeks ago that I found a series of ground stick signs that came up and saw, well, right here's where the Bigfoot was sitting. And in the one where I found the location where he was sitting, I actually heard his calls that he made. And I just kind of dismissed it as being, oh, it's probably just the wind blowing the trees, you know, because the trees were making this squeaky sound. And I turned to my buddy that was with me and I said, how come the trees aren't squeaking right now? The wind's blowing. You know, the wind's blowing. It's gusting right now. The tree up on the ridge right now should be squeaking, you would think. You know, after we heard it repeatedly several times. And so I just thought, well, maybe it's just, you know, maybe it's just natural. You know, maybe I'm just thinking everything's Bigfoot and it's not. But then when we found the butt prints, there was a ground stick right beside it. So it kind of connected everything.
We got a couple questions for you real quick, William. I want to get to these before we get any further. So,
okay.
People don't get mad at us.
Yeah, I know. Time slips by. We get on the show, get a talk, and it goes by fast.
It does. It does. We get this one quick because you can answer it quick. Wayne wants to know how long you've been doing this. How long you've been researching?
Since the spring of 2016, when I had my so-called quote-unquote first sighting. It was my first recognized sighting of Bigfoot. Before that, I dismissed him as a bear or a boar or something other. I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I was a skeptic. So after 2016,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we got one here that might be a little more difficult. This is from our good buddy Kenneth, who one of our members. Says,
what about your? I didn't know that. That's Kenneth?
Yeah, that's Kenneth.
I didn't know that.
What about your thoughts on spirits following and I can't make that word out, buddy. Using energy off Sasquatch.
Well, I asked Janice about this. I asked her, you know, do Sasquatch have ghosts? And she said, yeah, they do. So, you know,
really?
It's something new to me too. I mean, they're part human like we are and have a spirit also. So the fact that they're part Nephilim and everything, it really ties into the spiritual aspect of them as well as the paranormal. I
So
look at the
you
paranormal
believe
as just natural, basically. It's just part of their physical abilities that they possess because of their
so
DNA.
you
I
believe
believe they're
that
flesh and blood.
Sasquatch
Yeah.
is do you think they're a Nephilim? Is that what you think Sasquatch is?
I think they're a watered down Nephilim. I think that they are, like the Bible describes them, as being the sons of God, which is plural when you go back to Genesis. And the reason why it calls them sons of God and not fallen angels is because of that finished work of Jesus on the cross, because of that redemption that his blood brought unto his own self, the salvation of many that would come to know him. And the Sasquatch, the Bible doesn't look at them as though they were, but how they are even before that of salvation. It looks at the finished work of the cross. So it sees them as the sons of God because they were angels in the beginning and they will be angels in the end, the finished work of it all. You know, I see the salvation of Ruth as a good example because she was a Moabite. And when you read in 2 Samuel about the Moabites having heads of lions, you know, faces like lions, she would have been one of these lionesses. And that's the Davidic bloodline that comes through King David all the way down through the bloodline of Christ, you know. So it's really, really interesting when you study those genealogies and you look at the Bigfoot from a standpoint of giants in the Middle East. Yeah, really fascinating.
I have sat down and I've talked to William at length about his theory on Bigfoot and the Bible and Enoch and all that stuff, and he makes very compelling
the hairy man. Yeah, it's very, very fascinating, and it ties into the Muslims' belief of the jinn too. So you get into all aspects of it when you really start to research it. You know, each area has their own thoughts and names for Bigfoot even.
Okay, what are your thoughts on arches and X's?
I see the X as a territory marking, as a boundary sign, also as a warning sign. I've found them along edges of bluffs and cliffs, so it wasn't like a naturally occurring tree sign. It was meant as a warning to keep out or stay away from. You know, at nighttime, that's my worst fear, being in the woods and falling off a cliff, you know, or stepping in a hole, or, you know, there's a lot of dangers and risk involved doing the nighttime research. That's why I went out and got this new camera. I've got a digital Psionics Aurora night vision camera. I'm still testing it and trying it out. It's not a true night vision. I mean, I'm going to have to figure out how to use it and try to get some recordings with it, but I'm excited. But yeah, the X's and the tree bows are a really interesting sign. You know, that time with Ginger Lockwood, she was finding the tree bows left and right. And we were noticing that every so often we would find the ground stick close by to them. So there was a connection to that sign. I think they're using it as a navigation aid as well. Yeah, there's definitely significance to them. Some of them I've seen that are natural, you know, naturally occurring deadfall that'll pin a branch under. Then others I've seen, I'm like, how did this tree fall over here this way and trap this tree under it, you know, where it's tucked and wrapped in and under and over. You know, you kind of have to do a little bit of looking and analyzing to try to determine if it's a possible Bigfoot sign. But I'll use other indications as well, like I'll be in an area of a known sighting, like the night me and Ginger discovered those arches and ground stick signs together. We found a ground stick that was broken from a piece of rope vine, and it was out in the middle of a field area that had just been mowed. So we knew it was a recent ground stick sign, and it wasn't even a stick. It was a piece of vine. And just within minutes of finding that ground stick sign, we shared an amazing encounter and sighting together. So it's really fun to get out and share that knowledge of the ground sticks and help people know what to look for in the woods and how to further along the understanding of them, you know, really. Both physically and you know, the paranormal, all of it.
William, good question here by Wayne. He's asking if you've had any scary encounters, which
all
you
of
already
them.
mentioned the Blackie version. and then
just about all of them.
But
Probably the most frightening was that camp out with you guys. I'll be honest, man. I woke up in the middle of the night screaming my head off. I don't know how you guys slept through it and didn't hear me scream, because I had this dream of this tree falling on top of the tent, and what it was is all the weight of the water ripped the tarp and it came crashing down on my tent. So I thought a huge tree had fell and hit the tent, and I woke up in the middle of the night screaming, Janice! And got out and, of course, checked on everything, and everyone was all right, but you guys slept right through it. But we had an encounter that night, that first night there in the campground. I heard the footsteps come up from down along that bluff, along the backside in behind the tent. And when it got up behind Janice's tent, I was just waiting for something to happen. I was just sitting there quietly listening. And she said, "Get out of here," and that thing just turned and blew like a horse. It just like, I mean, if a Sasquatch doesn't have a sense of humor, that just cracked me up. And then the next morning I get up and I start the fire, and you guys had gone and gotten McDonald's for everybody and brought back fresh coffee. Well, I was getting a fire started to get coffee for Janice, so she could wake up in the morning, because she doesn't function well without coffee. She'll tell you she's got to have her coffee in the morning. So she had gotten up and just naturally thought that the bundle of sage she'd left out on the table, that I'd used it to start the fire with. Well, come to find out, what had came into the campsite that night that we heard blow like a horse, and I don't know of any bear that would make that sound, took that bundle of sage that first night. And then later that night, we heard a tin can hit back behind our tent. And you guys were snoring logs at that point. Y'all were already out of it, packed in. But then that second night, man, things got crazy and we had to get out of there. And I think discretion's a better part of valor. I don't feel bad for leaving. I felt like it was good, like a good God sense that we were there at the right time to do what we were there to do. I really felt it was a spiritual warfare type of an encounter as well. And the entities and the things that were there, you got to remember, if a demonic spirit can enter pigs and they go off a cliff after they ask permission to run off a bluff. When Jesus encountered the demoniac there, I think it was there at the Sea of Galilee, you got to remember they could probably enter a Sasquatch too. So that would be a really frightening thing to run into a full-blown demoniac Bigfoot,
Well, you saying that actually brings up a good thing about the Jersey Devil,
right.
which is supposed to be a Sasquatch with red eyes and everything. And he's true. It's true. I know people are going to say, well, that's off the Mountain Monsters. Well, I've watched Mountain Monsters. I watch that all the time.
Yeah.
I love the guys there. But I also go and make, yes, some of the show is show, but there's the cryptids they're going after are some that's actually.
Every myth is based on a legend, and every legend comes from reality. So there you go. You got to kind of have to look at it and it just accept the baby in the bathwater,
Yeah.
And just realize that what you're dealing with, regardless of the witnesses that claim to have seen such dramatic things, you kind of have to take it with a little bit of grain of salt and just go by your own understanding, your own experiences. And with me, it started off right away. I was having encounters and experiences before I even knew it was Bigfoot. I just thought it was some shadow figure in the woods where we camped at, or some supernatural being. I saw him as being an angel in the beginning, before I knew anything, because I didn't know of anything that could levitate or run like that through the woods or break apart in geometric shapes like my buddy described it as being. So to me, all this stuff was totally new. And then when I did go to the police and report this sighting with this friend of mine, like a year later, we learned about where we camped at was in a Bigfoot graveyard. So, here we are, of all places, camped in a Bigfoot graveyard, having all these strange encounters with things that I thought were just angels. And I had no clue that this paranormal Bigfoot research group had paid the police to take them to this location where an officer shot and killed a Bigfoot. So, early on, I started to question Bigfoot's existence, like in the back of my mind. And I only had like one really good close friend.
You're opening up too big a can of worms too late in the show, man.
I know it. I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger. I know it. It gets really good quick.
We
But yeah,
got
that
5
night
minutes
where we
left,
were,
and you're talking about shooting and killing the Bigfoot.
I
You're
know
killing
it.
me.
I know it.
Well,
But
that
it wasn't
just
us.
brings
I mean,
everybody wanting to come
we
back
didn't shoot
again.
it to kill it, but yeah,
They want them to come
just
back. We
reported.
got to have something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta have something. But yeah, that camp out up there where we were all camped together, I heard earlier that afternoon while we were all listening to the UT football game, the dragging chain. And I said something to everybody, and I think it just kind of went over everyone's head. Like, do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that sound? Sounds like a charm bracelet or a little necklace, a little
I remember you saying that.
real small. And then later that night, before we got like really freaked out and scared out of there, we heard it again. It sounded like someone dragging a chain down that gravel road coming towards us.
Well, you
And
remember
right as we noticed it, we heard this loud pop from like a rock thrown against a tree, like a tree knock, but it sounded like a rock hit it.
Well,
it
remember,
sounded hard.
I had my box out, and
Yeah.
yeah, and Janice's daughter was beside me. Well,
Yes.
that gravel, the driveway's right behind me.
Yes.
And I thought you was walking behind me, and I looked back, and then you come around the car like, Dave, was I not you? No.
Well, me and Janice both, when Holly was sitting beside you there at the fire, we seen you spit out water like a fountain into the fire, and we seen a white spirit move by behind you. We probably hadn't said anything about that before, but it might have been some kind of a tormenting spirit that was there. And we felt early on that it was spiritual warfare that we were engaging in there. And of course, I had the sighting when I went to go pee of this. It looked like a Bigfoot, but its head was too big, and it had the long nose like a dogman. And I asked Janice about it because I'd heard stories about dogmen having the rearward facing dog legs. This looked like a tall giant figure with a head like a T-Rex, basically. It looked like it had a big old head on it. And I seen it like on the left side of me, and then I seen it go around me, and then about 100 yards on up in the campground, I seen it cross and go over in behind that bluff. Well, that same night, we had the tree that you all encountered at that other investigation site that fell earlier that day. Mm-hmm. Then we had that other one that fell at the that down on the highway that me and Janice went and searched. Both trees had similar markings to them with the bark being stripped off of them. And that could have just been rotten pine, with the infestation of the beetles and stuff that trees naturally fall in the woods. But I thought the coincidence of it, almost like the Bigfoot were warning us of what was there. And then when we left, if we packed up and got out of there, we had the sighting of this upright, what Janice called a cane crusoe, this dog that in history is called a hellhound that the Nazis fed Jews to in the concentration camp. They were used as concentration camp dogs. It's an Italian Mastiff. And if you trace back the history of this bloodline of this dog, it goes all the way back to the Roman legion eras, and the early Christians were sacrificed to these dogs. They literally ate Christians alive in the Colosseum of Rome. So the idea of a hellhound sighting, it tied together with everything else that we were encountering that night. And this is after we already had left. But after you guys had left, me and Janice were still packing up the tent and stuff, and I got this slime all over us. And Janice thought I'd yelled at her to get in the truck. And when she come walking up, I said, I'm going to give you a big sloppy kiss, And she didn't know how to take it and didn't know what to think. And I showed her my hands had this like slime, like Ghostbuster slime all over it. And so I don't know what was on the back of those tarps, whether, it'd be an awful big snail. I mean, it was like snail slime or snake slime, real slimy stuff all over my tent and tarp. And Janice said, that's ectoplasm. You've gotten ectoplasm all over your hands. I washed my hands. You couldn't get that stuff to wash off. You still felt it, and it like instantly absorbed into your skin even. I mean, it was just the creepiest encounter there that night. And then this limb comes spinning out of the woods, end over end, and nearly hits Janice and goes by me like one of these tambourines that a cheerleader would throw up or something. I mean, it was thrown like a baseball bat, come right by us. Y'all had already left at this point. Janice was so shaken by it. I actually had this mind speak encounter with it where I carried a 357 on me, and I started to pull the gun out and aim it right back where the stick was thrown from. And it mind spoke to me and said, what are you going to do with that little thing? And I thought a minute and just stopped and froze and stood there and closed my eyes. And I said, I'll show you what I'm going to do. And boy, you just feel this sense of like it was just amped up energy, like it was just ready to pounce on me. And I just prayed to God and I said, get him, Jesus. And we got the victory before we left that night. We had the victory. And I went over and embraced Janice and hugged her, and she was just shaking. And she said, I did not mean to take that from you. That just love and energy and heartfelt concern for everyone's safety there. And then we packed up and got out of there. And then the whole night driving out, we kept seeing stuff dive bombing us, like what looked like a bat, but it wasn't a bat. It was something reddish brown, and it was hitting the windshield, like hitting the car, attacking us as we were driving out after we saw this hellhound that was standing upright. I mean, it was standing upright like a dogman, what people report as a dogman pup even there in that location sightings of. So we seen something just in ill-recognizable shape, like a blob shape. It was reddish brown, moved quickly across the road in front of us, and it just disappeared in like a flash of not really like a flashlight of light, but just like it just moved and then just instantly was gone. And Janice was just like driving out of there, just, Lord, just please let us get out of here. And it was such a welcome to get back home and to hear in the gas station we walked into Christian music after we'd stopped down in Sweetwater at a gas station that got robbed that morning. Like I seen the two thugs walking in with a gun about to rob it and told Janice, this place is about to get robbed, and told Janice. She went inside and warned the attendant people of these two kids that were young kids casing the place outside waiting for us to leave so they could go in and rob the place. And this kid comes over and starts making small talk, and he's just full of the devil. And I'm looking at him going, buddy, you don't know the face of evil I've stared into tonight already. You don't even want to go there with me. You know, you don't even want to start no conversation or come over here or think about trying to rob us or carjack us or whatever he was intent on doing. And when we left, Janice told me that she heard that place sure enough got robbed right after we left. Right after we left. And they had to get away down the street. There were a couple of 3 kids from Georgia that had come up here into Tennessee that robbed that gas station that early Sunday morning, and the police were already on their way because Janice had already informed them of it beforehand. Like I had that sense of awareness, you know, that they were up to no good even beforehand.
So, the question you asked was your scariest encounter. Would you say that night was your scariest?
Yes. Yeah, it probably was. It was scary enough. I don't really want to go back if I don't have to. It's like Holly said, there's no reason to go back and kick a bear, you know. There's no reason to really, you know, go back looking for that sort of stuff. Yeah.
This happened last fall, so it hadn't quite been a year yet. So we might have some people on here that don't know the story, but
right.
That was a crazy night. We'll get into it more when we got more time.
There was so much stuff that was shared. There was so much truth. You know, I was with you, Wayne, when Jasper had the ghost box out. I didn't believe in that sort of stuff. I was real leery and skeptical. But when that thing said, fear them, William, I was like, I ain't fearing nothing, you know? And then later I felt like from God that I felt like it was for a reason, for a purpose, that we were all there together, and that the fear is good because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You know, that's where it starts. And that fear that we encountered was sort of a holy fear. Even if it was evil, it was still from God because God's created them. And that's kind of like how my take is on it. You know, even the devil is God's devil. He created him in the beginning for a purpose and for a reason. And of course, we know the reprobate will be delivered over to the devil for the destruction of their souls. So we know the devil has a reason and a purpose for being. Otherwise, he wouldn't be allowed to still be on the earth right now. You know, the Bible refers to him as the God of this world. So if he's the God of this world, he's not my God. But if he's the God of this world, then you have to at least give due diligence and credit where credit's due. You know, there is evil. This stuff is real. And the stuff that we found out was real living truth. And we were able to have the victory and leave that campground knowing that there is a God in heaven who sits on the throne, who's in control of everything that happens to us in our lives, good and bad. The rain falls on the just and unjust alike. So we were just so happy to get to spend the time to share with you and to really go out in the woods and find the real signs, the real signs of ground sticks, the real signs of those ground beds that we discovered, the vocals that we got. I don't know, not everybody heard them, but I think me and Jasper, when we got out from underneath that porch awning in the rain, we could hear some just like it just sounded like Charlie Brown, it sounded like Snoopy or something, and it was really incredible just to get to have those wonderful encounters and be able to share that with people. And I think the real ministry, with the lady that we met that had cancer and stuff, Janice, getting to try to share with her and help her. I think everything happened for a reason that weekend. It's just divine timing, and the Bigfoot showed up just right on cue. And I mean, we just had such a wonderful time together in fellowship, and I'm looking forward to getting back together with you guys too. As soon as we can.
Like I said earlier, Old Bear's already contacted me and wanting to set it up, but we've already gone over an hour tonight, buddy. So we got to get.
God bless you guys, and God bless all your good viewers. And I'm really grateful and honored to get to share about the ground stick signs. It's an important sign. It's probably one of the biggest single signs that's helped me find the Bigfoot themselves, and it's an important understanding and getting to know more about them and who they are, and really get to share my heart with everybody too on my views with the Bigfoot. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for getting me on the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely,
I look forward to watching it. I'll probably watch it a half dozen times.
You've become a good friend. I count on your knowledge, your expertise, and
thank you. It's a big honor,
buddy. I appreciate it, buddy, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Sure is. Thank you guys so much. God bless you all.
Have a good night, buddy.
Good night. Good night. See you, brothers.
All right. Yeah. Get whenever Ninja Dave is around, you get all kind of information. There are so many other stories that he could have given us that we just didn't have time to get. With him, an hour is just not enough. You know it.
Yep. I got an idea.
What's that?
We need to figure out one of the times of our shows, either probably be a Sunday, if it's possible, or maybe a Thursday since we're at 9 o'clock. Maybe we can do a 2-hour show and have a couple of guests on and have like a big thing or something, or I don't know, some kind of like a big powwow thing.
That'd be cool. We've talked to Janice before and Ninja Day about doing like a roundtable type thing.
I think that'd be cool. Do that for that 2, maybe 3 hours. Just have a good big show.
Just get on here and everybody just start talking about their best experiences. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Shit. Shoot. What do y'all think? Say it in the comments, guys. Y'all let us know if you think that'd be cool. Let us know. We'll go by that and see how many people would like it. And
let us know if you think an hour is a good amount of time, or an hour is not enough time, or if an hour is too much. Your opinion matters to us. Yeah. We've done this. We got our 75th show coming up soon, so we've been doing them about an hour long. We go a little over an hour every week, every show.
Yeah,
seems to be working so far. But yeah, guys, let us know your opinion. We want to give you guys what you want.
Got 3 big votes already.
Got what?
Got 3 big votes already out there. That'd be awesome. That sounds good. So. I think I think that'd be a good idea.
All right, man. Let's get out of here. Say your goodbyes.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all Thursday. Hopefully, it's getting busy time for me, so I can't guarantee, but that one over there will. If not, I'll let you know.
Yeah, just tell them you need off early on Thursdays.
Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us tonight. Great guests, great show. None of it's possible without you guys. Love you guys. Y'all be good to each other. Watch out for each other. and just be safe. Be safe out there, guys. We will catch you next time. See you guys.